Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So today, I wanted to have a discussion on when you work on a series, why you should always go back to the previous material you write in a series and review it and go over it. And what good can come from it if you do, and what bad things can come from it if you don't. So sit back, relax. I hope you all enjoy, and let's go ahead and get started. So, when it comes to writing, it's always important that you keep your previous material in mind at all times. It's always important to look at the road ahead and to think of what you're going to do, how you're going to plan out whatever you're writing, whether it be a book, a comic book, a movie, a series, like a TV show, whatever it may be, whatever you are writing. It's always important to plan ahead, but at the same time, it's always important to go back on that previous material. Now, the reasons why it's always important, in which we're going to look into, is because when you are writing a series, you are going to come up with several ideas. You are going to start off by coming up with whatever ideas. You're going to come up with your characters. You're going to come up with your world, the rules to this world, and how everything works within it. These are very important things that set up the very beginning of the series. And from there, once you start building up, of course, you're going to look over everything, you're going to review it yourself, and then you're going to revise it if it needs it. If you feel there's any work, you are going to make sure that you construct it to where it's better than it was before. 9 times out of 10, most people don't go with their first draft because it's never the best. And so then what they do is they take that first draft and then they work on it again until they feel that it is the best it can be, and then they continue to go from there. And this isn't just a process that can just be done overnight. This is something that takes time, patience, and effort, and tons of focus. And one thing when it comes to RWBY, now I'm not saying that the writers have not gone over previous work. I'm not sitting over here saying that they don't know what the previous material is. Of course they do. But I think that when it comes to the way that they've looked at things, considering inconsistencies within the series and within the world itself, the characters, and some of the rules of how the series even works, there have been some issues here and there, and it's made you kind of wonder sometimes whether the writers paid complete attention when they were going back over the previous material, or whether the writers only went with stuff that they found the most interesting or that they thought would be the best to cover, or whether the writers weren't taking complete notes and they had just forgotten things. And I want to go over some of the issues that can be caused by not going over previous material. So, for example, starting off, let's look at Weiss. Miles had completely forgotten about Weiss's time dilation. This was one of the abilities that her semblance is capable of with Dust, that she is able to perform. We've seen this back in Volume 2. And here's the big thing. Miles had stated when this was asked him at RTX that he had totally forgotten that Weiss was even capable of time dilation. This is one problem that exists because they didn't go over previous material to keep up with it. Another example is Cinder's character. In Volumes 1 through 3, Cinder had a plan to take down Beacon, and in the end she was successful, and she had backup plans in case her plans were to fail. The backup ones would succeed in the end so that Cinder could be the victor, and she used the White Fang as reinforcements to help her take down Beacon. But in Volume 5, Salem then asks Cinder to go and recruit Raven. Well, Cinder believes that they have enough power that they should just be able to take the relic by force instead of having others help, and Salem tells Cinder that they should rely on others because others can be useful. Well, this goes to basically what Cinder said to Mercury in Volume 2 when Mercury wanted to go ahead and just take down Beacon then and there, and Cinder tells him that it's not about overpowering the enemy, it's about taking away what power they have. So they basically made Cinder forget what she knew, and Salem became the Walmart brand Cinder, which was pretty disappointing there and out of character for Cinder. But also, let's look at the fighting styles. A lot of them don't look as charismatic as they used to. They don't look like they fit the characters like they used to fit them. I mean, when was the last time Nora has used her hammer to actually fly across an area? I mean, back in Volumes 1 and 2 she did that, but then she hasn't done it since, which is very disappointing considering it was a part of Nora's fighting style. It was a part of her character, and it feels like a lot of the fighting styles just don't feel as vibrant or as energetic as they used to. Not only that, but let's look at Crow, for example. Another one is a lot of characters got nerfed in Volume 5. The Battle of Haven really hurt several characters. Their superhuman abilities just seemed like they were just normal abilities at that point. And Crow, he was another character, and ever since Volume 5, with the Battle of Haven, he just feels like he has not been the same. He just feels like he's been nerfed and jobbing all of his fights when we know that he can do so much more. And it seems like he just isn't the same. His style is just not the same, and it's disappointing. And it's like he's on the same level as Team RWBY when we know he's more experienced. We know that he's stronger. We've seen him do more. I mean, the Tyrion fight that he was taking on Tyrion much better than Team Ranger was, showing the difference in their power gap and how much stronger Crow was than Team Ranger was. And not only that, another thing to mention is the Grimm. When the Grimm die now, if you notice, they just immediately disintegrate away. But if you look at the first few volumes, they didn't just immediately disintegrate away. In fact, their bodies would slowly turn into what looked like smoke, and then their bodies would slowly over time disappear. It's almost as if Thanos just snapped away half of the Grimm, or at least the Grimm that everybody was fighting against. It's very bizarre. They just disappear like that right away. And sometimes writing can be very hard. I mean, it's fun, but there are times where it can be really hard to come up with an idea for something. But one thing that you must always do when you're writing something is to always go over the previous material you have worked on. Never forget to look back. And it never hurts to look back. There's nothing wrong with looking back at your previous material, because this will help you better understand your characters, their styles, their abilities, the world you've created, its lore. It'll help you better understand all of it. And if characters act out of character, then this perverts the very nature of the character. It is no longer the same character. These characters are different from this point forward. Not only that, but if you start having inconsistencies when it comes to the world itself, the rules just don't make any sense anymore, even though you've established them to work a certain way, and then they just completely go against what you set up, then you are completely making the world itself as well as the characters hollow. They are not who they were. They're not as good as they were. And they don't feel the same. They are not the same characters, and the world is not the same. The rules are not the same as they were originally established to be. And then it just feels so inconsistent that things won't even make sense anymore. And that's something you can't let happen when it comes to writing. You cannot let this happen to your characters or your world. This is why you must go back on things. And I will say, the writers have done some things that I have given praise to. Like the Neo and Cinder fight, for example. I love this fight because, for one, they did have 4 animators work on this to make sure that Neo's style stayed very close to what her style always was. This was vital for her character. And I'm going to be straightforward here. I was extremely concerned about how they were going to treat Neo's character. I was very scared for her to even enter the series again after what happened in Volume 5. I was very terrified that with what happened at the Battle of Haven and how the characters were just completely nerfed and the fight was just awful, I was so afraid that they would mess with Neo's style. I was so afraid that they would butcher it in some way and that it wouldn't be as good as it used to be. But they definitely treated Neo well, and I gave them praise for that, and I'm giving them praise again, because the writers did stay true to Neo's style, and that was what was important to me, is that they kept her character the same, and that they kept her style as close to what it's always been, and they stayed true to this. And like I said, I was terrified. I was very scared of Neo returning because I thought that they may mess it up in some way or form, but they didn't, and I'm proud to say they didn't. Not only that, but I was proud of the way that they handled Mercury's story, considering that Mercury's backstory had been told within the song I'm the One, which is his theme as well as Emerald's theme, and they elaborated more on it, like Mercury's semblance, why he doesn't have it, why we've never seen it before. And they did an excellent job with Mercury. I gave them praise for this because the writers did an excellent job here, and honestly, this made me like Mercury more. And the writers stayed true to what was set up for Mercury's character, and this was vital because they kept Mercury the same, and that is good. While his character, along with many others, were affected in the Battle of Haven, The one good thing I will at least give them in Volume 6 that they did for Mercury is they kept his backstory, his character, the same, and they even added onto his backstory and gave Mercury great motivation. So there's praise there. And this is why it's always important to go back on the previous material. Even if you have to go back to the very beginning and just completely go over it multiple times. I don't mean just one viewing of your old material. I mean, go back over all of it multiple times. Study it. Make sure you have it in your head, that it's all established there so that you understand every single last thing that you were doing. Because then everything will feel and be much more consistent than it would be if you didn't go back to try to understand your own world that you've been creating. Not only this, but you could even see some loose ends that you've written in your series that you may have forgotten about, that you could still have answers to, that you could still work on and actually fill in that hole that's been left there. And then not only that, but the previous content that you were looking back at, that you had worked on. This could also help you even come up with more creative ideas to add on to that, to perfect that, to answer any questions that are still there that need to be answered. And at the same time, you can go back over your work and you will see the difference, the improvement between your writing of the past and your writing currently. You will see the difference, I guarantee you. I've done it myself to look back at my own work, and I have seen where I have actually improved in the past from certain things that I've worked on, like my art, for example. I have significantly seen it, and it will teach you that you have become better, and maybe it'll even show where you may be lacking in some areas as opposed to the past where you may have been better in some areas. That's something that you can actually even learn from as well, because sometimes some people do get rusty with their work, and they may lose a little bit of motivation, and then the work starts to lack a little bit. But then if they look back at it, they can see those errors that were in their writing. They can actually improve upon that in the future, and that can help them learn from those mistakes as well even. There's so many things that you can learn from when you go back on your work. And this is something that I think the writers need to continue to do. I think they need to continue to go back over RWBY's content. The first 3 volumes are major things they need to go back on, I think. This will teach them to better understand the characters, their motivations, their characteristics, their styles, the world of Remnant itself, the rules that have been set up to it. There's so many things that a writer can learn off of their previous content. There's so many things that they will relearn that they had forgotten that was even there. And there's so many things that can help them improve their craft. So it is very important to always go over any previous material to better the future of the series you're writing, the series that you're working on. And it's always important to do so and to always study it as much as possible. But anyways, I'll be back again on Tuesday. Let me know what you think down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, hit the video with a like. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Share this video with your friends if you found this informative or useful. And follow me on Discord. Link is in the description down below. But anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow could always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.